So it's been a bit since we talked about Reedy, and he's back with a vengeance in this story that shows his minimal tolerance for drama. At a house party in the early 2000s, we were in our mid 20s and tired from hours of DJing for a horde of our friends who enjoyed too many cocktails. Reedy was ready to unwind. That's when an argument broke out and some unnecessary drama reared its ugly head. When one of our overserved friends threatened everyone at the party to throw down, Reedy quickly raised his hand to accept the challenge. Did our friend take the challenge and take on the perturbed 350-pound behemoth? Or did the drama end as quickly as it started? Watch the video to find out. I'm Bill Roseberry. Welcome to my channel, Bill Roseberry Stories, and enjoy this original feature serving up authentic narratives and heavy doses of Gen X nostalgia, which we do on the regular. Reedy and I tossed the last pieces of DJ gear into the bed of his white Dodge Ram. We just wrapped up another killer house party at Rick's and had an absolute blast. Rick's place in Fosterburg was a perfect secluded rural party paradise. Dense woods swallowed the property, hiding the two-story home entirely from the main road. Situated on the outermost fringes of the rural community, it came with enough acreage that you never had to worry about disturbing the neighbors. A winding gravel driveway snaked through the trees, opening up to a massive clearing where his house and barn stood, surrounded by a pristine carpet green yard. Occasionally, he would throw these little shindigs and have Reedy and I spin tunes in the barn. Partygoers would dance, drink, and shout requests while hanging out with us at the DJ table. If the barn got too loud, folks could wander down the long lane toward the front of the property, where a massive bonfire was always roaring. Tonight, only a few stragglers remained. It was pushing 2 a.m., and we'd been grinding for hours. Most of the crowd had cleared out the second the music cut at 1 a.m., but a little late-night drama was brewing down by the bonfire. Rick's girlfriend, Lila, had a brother named Mitch, and Mitch and his girlfriend Zoe were currently locked in a heated argument. Reedy was drama-averse, and I could tell the situation was testing his patience. To be fair, Reedy was pretty averse to patience much of the time, too. "You want a beer?" I asked, cracking a natty light. "Nah, I'm cool," Reedy muttered, latching his tailgate and glaring down the driveway toward the fire. We strolled up to the front porch where Lila and Rick were standing with our friends Wendy and Jace. Lila and Wendy were locked in deep deliberation, trying to figure out how to shut down the altercation at the end of the driveway so everyone could finally get some sleep. "I'm going to go down there and talk to her," Lila announced, steeling herself. "Good luck. And please, just stay calm," Wendy warned. Jace, Rick, and I just chuckled. Reedy predictably rolled his eyes. As the shouting grew louder, Lila disappeared into the darkness. We could barely make out the distant shadows pacing around the fire as orange flames licked the night sky. Suddenly, a tense silence fell over the yard. Lila had apparently separated the bickering couple. "Let's see how this goes," Wendy sneered, highly skeptical the spat would be resolved so easily. Then a piercing shriek fractured the night's welcomed quietness. "Ah! You hit me!" Zoe bellowed, immediately dissolving into uncontrollable wailing. A moment later, Lila reappeared, bustling quickly back through the darkness, while covering her face. As she stepped into the porch light, we could see she was crying too. "What did you do?" Wendy questioned, her eyes wide. I couldn't get her to calm down. She wouldn't shut up or listen to me, so I got frustrated and I punched her," Lila sobbed into her hands. Oh boy, I thought to myself. This is going to go over like a fart in church with Mitch. Mitch and Zoe could scream at each other until the sun came up, but the second an outsider intervened, Mitch would turn his ire on them in a heartbeat. He was a guy who got riled up and ready to rumble at the drop of a hat, especially when he had a few drinks in him. "This is going to get interesting. I really don't want to deal with this," I mumbled under my breath to Reedy. Reedy didn't answer. He just gave a deadpan stare down the driveway. I could tell he was absolutely dreading the incoming circus. Down the lane, Zoe continued to sob loudly. Suddenly, the violent slam of a car door cut through her incessant crying. We all froze. Mitch was marching up the driveway, and he was on a mission. Our small group huddled together in the grass by the porch. Lila, Wendy, and a couple of remaining stragglers formed the front line, while Rick, Jace, Reedy, and I hung in the back. The second Mitch breached the perimeter of the yard, he ripped his shirt off, whipped it angrily into the grass, and began pacing frantically in front of us. He was visibly infuriated, highly intoxicated, and entirely out of his mind. "I'm sick of this shit! I'll whip anybody's ass here! You got a problem? Step up! You think you're bad? Bring it on! I'll fight anybody!" he screamed. He kept pacing, his eyes wild with fire, his skinny arms flailing, and his chest heaving. The dude was in a total frenzy. Rick, Jace, and I glanced at each other, smothering our faces to shield our grins. I mean, the ridiculous spectacle was hilarious. We weren't even remotely worried about a fight breaking out. Why? Because our collective insurance policy was about to speak up. "I'm bad," a perfectly calm voice echoed from the back of the crowd. I whipped my head around. Reedy had his hand thrust high in the air, looking exactly like a kid waiting for the teacher to call him to the front of class. Mitch's entire body language shattered in an instant. A completely blank, deer-in-the-headlights look washed over his face as he locked eyes with Reedy's ice-cold stare. Reedy slowly lowered his hand and gently parted our small crowd, brushing people aside like curtains. He walked straight up to the shirtless Mitch, never breaking eye contact, even as Mitch's gaze immediately began to drift toward the grass. Standing face to face, the matchup was comical. Reedy had about 4 inches and a solid 200 pounds on his rival. "All right, dude, let's fight," Reedy said calmly, his arms hanging loosely at his sides. "Oh, now, Reedy, it's cool," Mitch stammered, slowly backpedaling. His shoulders slumped, suddenly realizing he wanted absolutely no part of this altercation. "Nah, dude, hit me. Come on, you want to fight? Let's fight. I'll let you throw the first punch. Come on," Reedy said, his voice finally rising into a sharp, agitated bark. Mitch's eyes were now firmly glued to his shoes, and he wasn't yelling anymore. I'm not going to fight you, Reedy," he squeaked. "That's what I thought. Now put your shirt on and shut up," Reedy snapped, thoroughly perturbed, and walked away. Behind the onlookers, Rick, Jace, and I were giggling uncontrollably, trying not to burst out loud. The crickets immediately started chirping again, reclaiming the quiet country night. Nobody else uttered a single word. Mitch slowly knelt, picked up his discarded shirt, and tugged it over his head. Without saying a syllable, he turned and walked down the driveway to go check on Zoe. Reedy walked straight over to me, a crooked, victorious smile slowly spreading across his face. "You got one of those natties, dude? I think I will have one after all." When I heard Reedy announce, "I'm bad," and then turned to see his hand thrust high in the air like he was about to get called out in class, I lost it. I was snickering with everyone, except Reedy and our friend who made the challenge. The look on Reedy's face was classic. He had that stone-cold glare, and our friend quickly realized he didn't want any part of it. That was Reedy. He could shut down drama in the snap of some fingers. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a friend who kept the peace in unique ways? Or have you had that friend who got fired up after a few too many drinks? Leave your craziest house party or going out stories in the comments below. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and make sure you're back here next week for more original content. And if you enjoy the crazy stories of Reedy, now you can get them in a keepsake in the form of a nostalgic, glossy magazine that looks like it came straight off a store shelf in the 90s. The Reedy Chronicles Volume 1 is a magazine of 5 short stories about Reedy, with extra behind-the-scenes content and bonus articles about our friendship and my writing career. Click the link in the description below to get your copy today, and don't miss out on the Reedy Chronicles Volume 1. Volume 2 will be launching very soon also. And I'll see you next week with another original narrative feature right here at Bill Roseberry Stories.